Hi everyone, and welcome to another Elementor webinar. And today we're going to deal with conversion rate optimization. For those who don't know, conversion rate optimization is the process where you increase the percentage where the user takes action. This can be filling out a form, buying a product, etc. We have one of the world's best experts about this topic. I'm talking to the founder of Get Uplift. She has helped some of the largest companies in the world to boost conversions using emotions and psychology. She's taught on stages such as Google, MozCon, CTA Conf, SearchLab, and many more. She was recently listed as one of the most influential experts in conversion optimization. Today, she offers conversion optimization services, in-house training, workshops, and online courses. I'm talking about, of course, Talia Wolf. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's such a great topic, and I love it, and I love talking about it. Can you tell me, how did you get started with this field?
Yeah, I was actually working in a social media agency, and I was in charge of many clients, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn stuff. And most of our clients were just worried about likes and engagement. But for me, I was constantly trying to see, like, okay, what's the impact? Are my clients getting customers? Are they getting sales? Are they getting leads? What are they doing? And then kind of going from that point to figuring out, okay, how can I set up the right tracking to, oh, this isn't working the way I want it to. How can I make this better? And I went through like this deep dive of trying to figure out what to do. So I would randomly change all sorts of things, and I would look at blog posts and just basically kind of ask people what they think. And I change like the ad, or I change a landing page, and I just guess what would be the best thing to do and kind of test that out and see what happens. And I later understood that I'm actually in an actual field, which is called CRO. It was just at the beginning of it, there was maybe one or two agencies in the whole wide world that were doing conversion optimization. But the more I did it, the more I realized how much I loved it. And I started building my own process. I started my own agency with two partners. And we developed this process together, and we kept going and kind of optimizing again and again. And it was just something that I found myself doing without really knowing what I was doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And what's the biggest misconception about this field?
I think the biggest misconception is that people think that conversion optimization is about moving elements on the page in order to increase conversion. Like, oh, if I just make this button bigger or blue or red, it will work. And that's what conversion optimization is about. But from my research and from running thousands of tests, I can tell you that conversion optimization isn't about that. It's about solving people's problems. And more than that, it's about understanding how people make decisions in life, which I will get into today, how people make decisions, purchasing decisions, and what influences them. And then being able to create an experience for them, something that actually not only works for them and helps them and delivers the best value for them, but also helps you achieve your goals. And as a result, you're not only increasing just conversions, you're transforming your entire business because you're growing on every metric. So it might seem like a bit robust, but that's kind of, in my opinion, the biggest misconception. It's like, oh, let's move a button and that'll be fine.
Well, it sounds exciting. Let's dive right in. Show us what you brought us today.
All right. Today I'm going to be talking about emotional targeting and how you can leverage that in order to grow conversions and create a better user experience for your customers. So the first thing I do whenever I start working with clients is I ask them, why do they think people buy from them? What is the reason that your prospect chooses to buy from you or start a free trial with you or contact you for a demo or for a consultation over your competitors? And funnily enough, most people give me a very long list of features and pricing and technology and everything to do with the product itself. It's all about what the product is, the features, and the pricing. But I know for a fact that if this was the reason that people bought products or hired people for different services, then the biggest companies in the world would have landing pages like this, right? Coca-Cola would talk about the fact that they're the number one the number one drink in the world, but they don't do that. They don't talk about their calories. They don't talk about, what they're made of or how much it costs. You will never, ever, ever see a landing page like this from Coca-Cola. So why does the entire web look like this? This is what drives me nuts. You look at the biggest brands in the world that are online and they're like, Zoom, the number one video conferencing and web conferencing in the world. So, okay, cool. It's about us. Introducing the industry leading solution for government contractors. Ugh, just everything's about the product, right? And even the visuals, look at that. It's all like, here's a screenshot of our product and what it looks like. I can go on and on about this, but again, like number one cloud accounting software, the world's best UI components, and so on and so on. It's all about them. It's all about their product, the features, how much it costs, or my favorite, we're the number one, we're the best, we're the favorite. Everyone's talking about themselves. And the reason this happens is because we've somehow gotten into this mindset that we think that this is how people buy, that they come to a website and they're thinking, oh, should I buy this product or not? Should I sign up? Oh, and they go through this like elaborate product, like process of thinking, pros, cons, makes sense, doesn't make sense, yes or no. But the biggest brands in the world, and I'll take it even further, neuroscientists, psychologists, they all know, we've known this for decades. It's not me saying this. No, but this is not how people make decisions about anything in life. Not about what they wear in the morning and not about which software they choose to buy for hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. This isn't how people make decisions. This is every single decision in life that we make is based on emotion, whether we want to believe it or not. And I know that we love to think that we're rational people, that we make rational decisions, and that I'm not irrational, but that's exactly it. Whether if it's a B2C product or a B2B product, there's always emotion involved. And I'll give you an example because it's not going to be me, it's going to be science, okay? So Dr. Antonio Damasio, he ran a research with people who have brain damage. And these people have everything works, everything's okay, but the brain damage that they actually have is that they can't feel any emotion. No emotion at all. And what he found is that though they could go about their lives mostly doing the same, the one biggest problem that they had was that they could not make any decisions in life, not even what sandwich to eat. Like, this was a serious issue. And he understood that without emotion, there are no decisions. And that's why, you asked me before about, hey, what's the biggest misconception? What we need to understand is that emotions affect our decisions. And decision-making obviously affects conversions, because the way people make decisions of how to buy something or how to contact, if they want to contact someone, or the results that they're looking for affect conversions. And obviously conversions affect revenue. So what I want to say here is that no matter what you're selling, what people really care about isn't the what, it's the why. And this is super, super important. If you can focus on the value, on the desired outcome, on the emotional outcome that your clients or customers or users, whatever you call them, are aiming for, what they're looking for, and you know that back to front, you know what their pain is and what is the desired outcome, the value that they're looking for, that emotional value, you can create a high converting experience for them, no matter what industry you're in. And I want to show you an example.
Go ahead.
So this is a client of ours, or was a client of ours, and what they do is they help you create beautiful infographics. And what's interesting here is that they came to us and they said, listen, we're not getting enough signups and for this product. And even people who sign up don't really use the product, they don't come back, and they definitely don't upgrade. So one of the things that we did is actually help them and ask them, hey, what have you tried so far? And again, this goes back to, hey, what's the biggest misconception? So they said, well, we tried reducing load time. We tried adding an exit pop-up. Oh, we changed the color of the call to action button. We removed a few steps in the funnel and we changed the headline. And I was like, okay, cool. Did that work? No, not really. didn't work. And the reason that it doesn't work is actually fairly simple. It's because we tend to look at conversion optimization as one of these things where you're like moving elements on the page. So you take a page, you duplicate it, you change the call to action button, you're like, woohoo, and nothing happens, right? And even if it does, like let's say the blue button one, or purple, and then I don't know if this is blue or purple. What does that even mean? Like, what are you going to do with this? How are you going to scale these results? And that's why I told you at the beginning that conversion optimization isn't about changing elements on the page. It's about solving people's problems. It's about understanding that real pain that people are feeling, what they're experiencing, and then understanding what the desired outcome is. So this is actually why I developed the emotional targeting methodology, because I understood after running that hamster wheel of trying things and moving elements on the page and nothing working, that if I understand the decision-making process of people, I can write copy, I can create designs, I can do everything in order to increase conversions. So we created this process and we found that there are over 223 different emotional triggers that actually impact people's decision-making. And it's never just one, there's like two or three at play. It's impactful. There's a lot going on in that, in decisions that we're making. So what I actually want to tell you about today is 4 core questions that you need to answer. So if you're sitting in front of the screen right now and you're like, but how do I even get started? Well, here's 4 questions that you should be able to answer every single day. And it's okay if you don't know the answers right now, because I'm going to teach you how to answer those questions. But these are the core questions. And the cool thing about them is if you know the answers to these questions, you will be able to, like, no doubt, write high converting copy, create a high converting landing page, create an amazing email sequence, everything, like all that good stuff, and websites and everything. So question number 1, what pain does my customer feel before finding a solution? So what is waking them up at night? What is driving them nuts? What is just really upsetting them? And it could be from anything, from the smallest thing. I don't have a dog walker for my dog, or is it I have a huge issue of communication with my company who is spread all over the world, or it's COVID and everyone's working from home and I have a communicational issue with my team. What is that core feeling, that pain that they're experiencing right now before they find you? Then what are the emotional triggers that drive the decision making? What are their hesitations and concerns? So what are the roadblocks? They've come to your website, they've come to your landing page. Why are they not going for it? What's holding them back? And lastly, and probably the most important question, how do they want to feel after finding a solution? And this is emotional. It's not they want to save time. I'm not asking about, it's not save money. Right? That's not it. They want to feel safe. They want to feel loved. They want to feel part of a community. They want to feel that they are in good hands. Where are they with that? What is that desired outcome? So how do we answer these questions? I'm going to show you 3 tested and proven ways to leverage emotion for optimization and actually answer these questions. So the quickest way to answer these questions is to start with the customer. So this is about running meaningful research. Now, hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about because you're in UX. So I'm gunning for this. Like, you guys are going to be like, oh, we're not learning anything new here. This doesn't make any sense. So here's what I think about this. When I speak to clients or my students, I ask them, like, when was the last time you spoke to your actual customers and clients? When was the last time you ran a survey, you did an interview or something like that, and most of them say, we haven't, or we haven't done so in a year. A lot of people say, well, even when we run them, we don't really get interesting answers. So for me, when you're not making it about the customer, when you don't start with running meaningful customer research, it's more or less like saying, I'm going to plan this amazing, beautiful product because I know best and I know exactly what my customers need. And you spend months and months of pouring your heart and soul into this wonderful product, which you know you're absolutely sure that everyone's going to love, all your resources, all the money, and then you launch it and you're like, no one's actually using this, right? And it happens to so many companies, which is just crazy, right? And you can actually you can avoid being in this position if you just run some customer-centric research. And what that means is using surveys for your customers and your visitors. It means running interviews. It means doing competitor analysis, not looking at the other websites and saying, oh, they have a button here or they have this feature, but competitor analysis from an emotional standpoint. You can do social listening, you can do review mining. It's never ending. There's just so much amazing things that you can do. And I want to share with you my top customer survey questions. So what this means is that with every client that I start working with, I put together a survey. It could be on Typeform, it could be on SurveyMonkey. Those are my go-tos. And I reach out to the customers who are already using my clients' software, already hired them to do some sort of job for them. And I ask them these questions. Number one, what was going on in your life or your day that made you search for this solution? So this is instead of the classical question, hey, why'd you come to our website today? And they would say, if you ask them that, they'll just go, I'm looking for, I'm looking for a project management tool, right? That's what they'll say. But if you ask, what was going on in your life that day? Interesting. Well, that day I went to a meeting and this happened and this person really pissed me off and whatever. And then like, oh, that's what led to it. And this helps us understand the pain that people were experiencing and not why they came to the website, because we don't really care.
Yeah.
When you weren't using this solution, how did you solve this problem? Super, super important question. And here's why. It's not about identifying your competitors. What we want to understand is beforehand, they had a problem communicating. I don't know. This is the example I've chosen. How did they solve this before? Were they using a competitor? You might actually find out that they were using email or a spreadsheet or a VA or who knows, or maybe they were not solving this issue. And why does this matter? Because when you're putting together messaging, for example, or high converting copy, what you want to reflect to your prospects is that you know them, you understand their pain, and you know what they've tried. And you can say, previously, you've tried X, Y, and Z, and none of it has worked. You can say, I know you. And I'm not just saying, we've been there, we've done that, but you're actually proving, maybe you used a worksheet. Maybe you hired a VA to do that task. Maybe you did this, and it didn't work. Here's a solution that does. And that gives people, your prospects, the feeling and the understanding that you actually know who they are.
And it's important to say that if they're building websites for clients, they can use the same logic on their clients.
Of course, because when you're talking to your client and you're saying, okay, why did you come to this? What were you doing? And if you're building, I guess it also depends, Ben, on if they're building a website for their client, they have to think about their customers, the client's customers, the client's users when they are planning this website too, because it's not only about the client that they're designing for, it's also about the people who are going to come to the website. So there's a lot of things here that are involved. And what you want to ask them is, hey, if you could no longer use this solution anymore, what would you miss the most? And this is a wonderful question because it's understanding the exact value that you actually deliver. Because if you ask, hey, what's the best thing about us? Then they'll say this feature, that feature, or this pricing. But if you ask them, hey, tomorrow, this product doesn't exist anymore. How would you feel or what would you miss the most? you will be surprised by the answers that people give you, and it will give you an understanding of what the real value proposition is. And lastly, what's the number one thing you'd mention to a friend if you wanted to convince them to give you a try? And that's a great way to get testimonials and also see how other people talk about you. So if you are building a website for your clients, or if you are creating a landing page for a software, or if you're building a website for yourself, all of this is about the end user and the person who's coming to the website itself. And it really does matter, because these are the things that will deliver the results that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Now, I just want to say that I want to give you a pro tip, and that is that you want to keep asking why until there's no whys left. And the reason why this is so important is because, as I mentioned before, we tend to think that we're rational people. So if you ask people, hey, why did you sign up? They will tell you that it's because of features and pricing. And you want to go beyond that. You want to dig deeper. So I want to show you how you can do that by asking why. So the same client that I showed you before, when we were just getting started, that infographic company, we reached out with surveys and asked people what persuaded them to sign up. So how did they get over this roadblock, and what made them think, hey, okay, I'm going to take a chance on this company? And some people said, okay, you had the most features. And we said, oh, cool, but why do you need so many features? Well, I needed something different than everyone else. Why? Well, I wanted to create something more memorable. Okay, cool, we're getting somewhere. Why do you need to create something more memorable? So I keep asking why, and they said, I needed to stand out, or I needed to be appreciated by my manager, my colleagues, my family, my friends. And this is what persuaded them to sign up, because they understood that the emotional value of using this type of product will allow them to improve their social image. Social image is a psychological trigger and an emotional trigger that is all about how we want others to perceive us and feel about us. And in this case, all these people who were using this infographic creator really wanted to know that their work is not going unnoticed, that they can create something that will really make them shine and elevate. So going back to this client of ours, this was their first landing page, which was also their homepage, by the way. And this is what we created. Make impressive infographics. So it's about their end result, not the easy to use infographic creator. It's about making impressive infographics. It's about showing the results, because if you look at their homepage, you'll notice, or this landing page, you'll notice that their hero image is a video showing you how to use the product. It's literally a drag and drop video. So we showed them the outcome, and by doing so, we got a 24% increase in registrations and 76% increase in creation of presentations and infographics. So this was huge for this company, just by, I guess, changing the whole aspect of it's not about the product, it's about them and their results and their emotions. Does that make sense?
For sure. Yeah. That's great.
Okay, so let's talk about the next step. The next step is adding emotion to your copy. So many times I speak to people who say, well, we don't really have the capacity to do a redesign right now. And as people who do UX or people who build websites, you most definitely don't always have the option to do complete overhauls and complete redesigns. And sometimes it's about just proving the importance of messaging. So a while ago, I worked with Social Media Examiner, Social Media Marketing World, and they are an amazing, amazing brand. They have a huge blog, and they also have a conference that happens once a year in March in San Diego. And they hired us to help them essentially sell more tickets for this conference. And if you look at this landing page, at the sales page, you'll notice that it's nothing like the regular sales pages that you would see. It's not like the shiny, bright new sales pages. And yet this is what worked best for them. So we did our research and we tried to figure out, okay, what are the roadblocks? What are the issues? What are the emotional triggers? And after we did this research, we realized that the people coming to this conference were feeling confused. They were overwhelmed with the amount of stuff and speed The social media world keeps changing. They were unsure on what to focus on. They needed guidance. They didn't know where this world was going on towards. They needed focus. So what we did, believe it or not, so you saw this page, it goes on and on, there's 3,000 words on this page. And we went ahead and added another section to the page, even more copy. And this entire section, just copy, is about just the pain that they may be feeling and then painting the desired outcomes. So I won't go through the entire copy, but it says, if you're struggling to keep up with the ever-changing nature of social media marketing, this event is for you. And we break it down like, here's the pains, and here's what you could be doing after this conference. You could know all the strategies. You could 10x your ROI. You could form relationships with people. And just by adding this section, we got a 41% uplift in signups and 16% increase in sales and revenue. You don't have to do a complete redesign if you don't have the resources, the budget, the copy. You know, it's at the end of the day, sometimes it's about just getting that quick in with the client to prove that you can do something, and messaging can have a huge impact on it. And I think that one way to show this, and I'll ask you, Ben, I will show you two options and you will tell me, what do you think you'd convert to? So
sure, let's do it.
We have the #1 dog walking service in Washington. Contact us to book your dog's walk today. Cool.
Okay.
All right, this landing page is fine. It has that headline that I mentioned that I don't like, but cool, fantastic, great.
Everyone thinks they're #1.
Yes. You know what? Even if they are #1, who the cares? Fantastic for you. Good for you. Okay, maybe you'd convert on this page. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, here's option #2. Stop worrying at work. We've got your pup. We make sure your loved one gets daily exercises and a whole lot of love until you get home.
Oh,
Choose.
I like, yeah, it's an easy choice.
Right?
Yeah.
It's about the message that
I don't have a dog, but for sure. I'm going to get a dog now.
Are you a cat person?
Yeah, but I don't have any only kids right now. But maybe
No excuse.
too much,
I have 3 kids too. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I think it's not that being #1 isn't important. It's just that when we live in the world that we live in, which is people, you know, we see thousands of messages a day and we tab jump, right? We jump from tab to tab to tab, looking for different options. What we need to see immediately is something that hits, something that resonates with us emotionally. Maybe lower on the page, they could say, hey, we're the #1 dog walking service. Who's going to prove them wrong? And maybe that's true, but it's not the immediate message that someone needs to see. So I want to give you a copy formula, an emotional copy formula that you can use in order to upgrade any website. So if you were hired now to do a website for your client, you can upgrade any website with this copy formula. Cool. So you take the feature that you're trying to sell and you add to the desired outcome that they're looking for, and that equals emotional centric copy. And I'll show you an example. So here is the feature. Okay, this is for an online parenting course. And the feature was that you get scripts. Maybe it's right for you right now, Ben. Word by word scripts for, sure. For handling backtalk. Don't know about you, but my kid's 3.5 and he's already being cheeky. So that's the feature. Those are the scripts. Then we have the desired outcome. So what is the outcome that I'd love for? To confidently and calmly handle any crisis with my toddler. So we have the feature, which is the scripts, and we have the desired outcome. And that is to feel calm and confident and know that I've got this. So as you pair those two together, and it's word for word scripts you can rely on to handle any crisis confidently, even during tantrums and stressful arguments. So we've taken the feature, we've added the desired outcome, and that is what makes it an emotional copy. For example, for a landing page software, you could say, build faster landing pages, right? That's some sort of feature because you won't need to worry about anything and you can do it quick. But the emotional value is that I won't have to deal with developers because sometimes they're hard. So you pair that together and you would say, build faster landing pages without having to rely on developers. The feature plus the emotional outcome. Or master the newest strategies for an online marketing course and gain your CEO's trust and confidence. So it's about pairing those two together. So that's kind of a quick way for you to use emotional copy on your websites. So a few other things that are important. Make sure that you focus on the value over the benefits and the features. Tell the customer's story. So remember, it's not about you. It's not about you being number one. It really isn't. It's about them. They are the heroes of the story. Relate to your audience. You can do that if you ask the right questions. If you ask them what they did before finding a solution, you can tell them how you use the same tools or how you tried doing the same thing, or you tried building a website this way, you tried creating a landing page that way, or you tried, solving this with a spreadsheet before and it didn't work. That's how you relate. And most importantly, build a relationship. It's not swap us and ours into you or me or I, if possible. Okay, last thing, we spoke about meaningful customer research. We spoke about adding emotion to your copy. Let's talk about how to add emotion to your design, because I know that you guys are super enthusiastic about design, which is important. So it's not enough to just have the messaging. Obviously, the design has to amplify the message. And this is a really important thing because too many times, first comes the design and then you add copy. So many times you'll see like a lorem ipsum text and there's a beautiful design. So I want to encourage you to think of it in a different way. First, write the copy and then create design that heightens and amplifies the messaging. So first of all, let's go back to design basics. We see over 40,000 messages a day. Seriously, this is insane. And this was last year. I don't know what their current data is, but it's incredible. So we get pop-ups and notifications and ads and things coming to us 24 hours a day. So we need to go back to the basics, which means we need to reduce visual noise. We need to have less things going on in the page. Obviously, only one call to action button. You want to choose the colors that you're using. You want to think about the different elements that you have on the page, because the amount of colors, icons, the visuals, the font size, the layout, everything matters. You know this. This is something that you do and you excel in. Then sometimes we run to kind of, chase this new cool thing that everyone's doing, and we want to be ahead of everyone and we want to try these cool things, and we forget about the user. We forget about the person who's coming to the page, who's overwhelmed and has no idea what they're doing and what's going on and what they should be clicking on. So you want to reduce that visual noise. And I want to show you a funny example. So this is a software that runs heat maps and analytics. And they asked us, it's PT Engine, they're called, and they asked us to help them increase their signups and implementation rate of the tool that they were using, because it's a software. And we did some research, we did some surveys, interviews, and we ran some heat maps. And funnily enough, the biggest thing that we got back from people was that they couldn't understand how it said user-friendly website, web analytics and heat map platform, but everything moving around, there was this video in the background that was super cool, because it's cool to put videos in the background, but it was confusing people. It looked super hard because it was showing how the product works in the background. So we did this real crash test just to help them really quickly, and we simply removed the background. Sure, would I test this color normally? Probably not. But we simply removed the background and it increased conversions by 57%. It increased conversions by signups by 57%. And we then went ahead and added more white space, changed the ghost buttons, changed the messaging on the page, and we got an increase of 80% in implementation of the tool. So really it's about going back to those basics and remembering that you want to have a high contrast between the image and the page content so people can read the copy. Too many times I've seen websites and landing pages where you just can't read the copy. The image is beautiful, but it's impossible to read. Yeah. You want to make sure that you're using distraction clean hero images. And what I mean by that is nothing too, I guess, noisy that will stand out too much. I like to actually keep to the 2 rules of like 2 color rule, which means every image should have a maximum of 2 colors in it so that it doesn't stand out too much and take away from the call to action button or the copy itself. White space, white space, white space. I cannot say this enough. Let people breathe. There isn't enough white space anywhere. And 1 call to action button on a page. Now, what this means is not that you can only have one actual button, but it means that you're only asking people to take 1 action, not sign up and pay, not find out more and, I don't know, register, just 1 button. Start now, get started, sign up, contact us. That's the call to action, but you also want to make sure that if you're adding more of those along the page, make sure the call to action button is the same color and has the same copy and it's repeating itself so that it's just 1 ask from people because there's too much going on. Remember, we're getting too many people asking us for things. So that's the design basics. Let's talk about using emotion in design. So let's say you've taken the time, you've done the research, you've written brilliant copy, and you are designing a website for Skype. And the messaging that you come up with is join the millions of people talking on Skype. Cool. That utilizes the bandwagon effect. Another psychological trigger, right? It's cool. Everyone's using us. Come join. It's a psychological trigger. We all want to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
So you sit in front of the computer and you're like, ta-da! Boo! Skype, you failed. They don't have this website anymore, but it was like, I think this was a year ago when I
tipped them off.
Great, hire me, I'll do your conversion. So the thing here is there's a dissonance, right? We're saying join the millions talking on Skype, but you're not using the visuals to make that happen. I would have expected to like see a map of the world with pins or seeing people from different walks of life from all over the world talking to each other to amplify the fact that there's millions of people using Skype. But instead they do the classic B2B. And guys, if you are now designing a website for B2B companies, it's so easy to go down that route of like a screenshot of the product on every different device. But that isn't persuasive and that isn't emotional. And it's not that people don't need to see that. They do probably need to see it, but not as the hero image later down on the page. And I'll show you an example. So this is a website that sells, what's it called? Why did I lose my, the word? So cameras and all sorts of privacy and security cameras. Woo, found the word. So this company sells security cams and they say have peace of mind knowing your house is secure. Cool. But then they show me a screenshot of a phone with like a shield on it and a few cameras. Not very helpful. This is another website that does that. You look at these websites and then you look at Arlo. Every single angle covered and you see a parent with their child, they're playing. No worries, there's no visual, there's no camera in sight, but you get it. You don't have to see the product. Now, I'm not saying that people that come to Arlo's website won't need to see the product. Of course they will at some point. But first, grab their attention before they go to someone else and lure them in with that emotion and make a promise with the visual and pair it with that message that you have. And
plus the parent playing with the kid is very emotional.
Exactly. And that is what these people were trying to say. Peace of mind, knowing your home is secure, right? This parent is playing with their child, not a care in the world. They're great. And that's what you're trying to say, right? Every angle covered. No need to worry. And that is super important when you're thinking about strategy and using emotion. So for example, we did this for a while ago for a company. They had, what they do is create custom birthday invitations for parents and their children. So this is their landing page. They had hundreds of thousands of people coming to this landing page / website every day. And what was happening is it said, okay, custom online invitations in minutes. That's about the product. Then you have all these features that say, you know, here's how many layouts we have, here's how it works, here's this. Then the visuals themselves are just of the actual invitations. And there's nothing in here about the customer. It's all about the product. So we did our research and we figured out that these parents that are creating birthday invitations for their kids have two different emotional triggers that are, I'd say, really impacting them. The first one is social image. What other parents are thinking about them. So they want to create something that other parents will look at them and say, wow, this parent is killing it. They know what they're doing. So it's really important. But on the other hand, there was another part which was more important, and that's self-image. And that was that parents who are overworked, who have a lot on their plate, want to feel good about themselves as parents, and they want to know that they can create a beautiful experience for their child and create a beautiful birthday party for them. So that doesn't appear anywhere on this page, and that's why we created this variation. A great party starts with a great invitation, a visual that has nothing to do with what the cards look like or what the invitations look like, and it's more about the feeling that you get. It's about that desired outcome. And we also added some information about how it works and how easy it is, because we know that these parents are working and they've got kids and they've got a lot on their plate. So just by doing this, we got a 12% increase in in downloads, 18% increase in registrations, and 42% increase in paying customers. So going back to adding emotion to your design, help your visitor visually. Go back to the basics, all that good stuff we mentioned, white space, one call to action, no noise, no distractions. Use images that support your emotional message. So if you're trying to say something, use images to amplify that. Use images that people can relate to or aspire to be like. And it's super important because we want to see people like ourselves on the website, or we want to see people that we could be or we could become, because when we buy products or services, we're buying better versions of ourselves, better parents, we're better marketers, we're better gardeners, whatever it is. So use those images that people can relate to, and make sure that the emotion is consistent throughout the entire website, not just in the header section because it's cool. Okay, last piece. Let's have a pre-flight checklist before you.
Oh, I love checklists.
Okay, cool. So number one, are you making it about yourself or are you making it about the visitor? Ask yourself, how many times did you mention yourself? How many times do you talk about your own features and products? Can the customer see them inside? And which means, can people see and feel the emotional outcomes that they desire? Are you using emotion in both your copy and your visuals? And most importantly, can people immediately see the why? And this is super, super important, because here's the thing about marketing in general, and that's, we all know what we're selling. We all know if it's a watch, if it's a dog walking service, if it's an ice cream, if it's an accounting software. We know the what. We know the how. So we know we've got automation, we have machine learning, we have 500 cones or flavors. We know that it has X templates or that it's user-friendly. But almost no one talks about the why, the actual reason behind it.
So true.
Very few organizations understand why people buy from them. And if you succeed in going deeper, in understanding those emotional triggers and understanding how people make decisions in life, then everything you do can really amplify and create better websites and experiences for people and for your audience, and you'll get better results. So all this to say, stop asking what is your goal and start asking what is your customer's goal. That's it. That's me. Thank you very, very much. That's what I had to say.
I really love it. You know, those there are those videos that you, or lectures that you end and you automatically want to, you know, implement it and try to figure out how you're going to actually use it in your work. And that's simply great. Plus, I think you enjoy it more if you be more, if you're more creative, if you think about the emotional impact, you're going to be a lot it's going to be a lot more enjoyable, the process itself.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's also more rewarding because you understand the impact that you have on people, and you can constantly optimize and you can constantly learn more and help people and really drive value versus just putting something out there in the world and hoping it will work.
We're just going to answer a few questions we got from the community.
Okay.
But first, you mentioned the funnel, that people think about a complex funnel, and your model actually shows that people can buy from emotion. They can buy pretty much immediately. So how do you think about, you know, the classic funnel: awareness, consideration, decision, as opposed to like impulse buying?
You know, I think that every business is very different than the rest. And if you're making a B2B decision versus a B2C decision, it can be very different. And emotion kind of gets into every step of that funnel. It can impact you on an ad, on the landing page, on a thank you page, even in an email. And what you want to do, what you want to use emotion for, is not just that immediate purchase. It's throughout the entire experience, because even once someone's converted, your goal is to keep them happy. It's to keep them coming back and to keep wanting to use your product. And the idea of using emotion is that when people understand the actual value of the product and not, oh, I can get this done. Because when you buy a tool or you purchase a tool, for example, and you're like, okay, it helps me calculate something, or it helps me, launch something quickly, that's cool. But if something else comes up, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go, who cares? Because it's just a tool.
Exactly.
But, right.
You
but
want
if
you want to
sorry,
build
go
a
ahead.
relationship.
Right, exactly. And also, when your prospect and your customer understands that you know them, that you understand them, and that you are there for them to help their lives get better, that's when you create those long-lasting relationships. So emotion needs to be consistent throughout the entire funnel, from start to end. And there is no end, hopefully, because you want to keep them coming back. And they always, at the end of the day, the goal is so that they understand that there is so much more than just X. It solves a huge problem for you. So that's how I feel like why emotion is above everything at the end of the day.
You want to keep the flame going and keep them excited.
Yes.
So let's go on to we're excited to go on to the QA. So QA. So Roy Haddad asks, sometimes when dealing in CRO, we're prone into believing that the fix is apparent. What's an optimal approach that reduces biases? Like, what is a valid system philosophy that will give us the ability to make a sound decision?
I love that, because biases are everywhere. And I talk about cognitive biases all the time. Our personal beliefs impact the way we make decisions too. So it is a very good question. The way that I like to go about it is in two ways simultaneously. Number one, it's about using data to inform my decisions. So when I go into Google Analytics, I don't just search for something like, oh, here's something. First, I'm going to ask myself questions. I'm going to go into the analytics asking myself specific questions so that I can find the right answer. And only then do I say, okay, so now I know where is broken and what is broken. Now, how do I fix that? And then the added part to it, so now I know that I'm mostly impartial because I can see the raw data. Now it's about making a decision of what's going to work and how can I avoid these biases and not go by, well, you know, my competitor did this, or I think because I am a designer or because I have experience that this works, is two ways. Number one, testing, because testing will forever tell you the truth, but also having more people involved in the process. And that's why customer surveys come in very well. That's why interviews come in very well. That's why review mining. When I go into a project, I'm using multiple platforms. I'm asking one question and I'm using multiple platforms in order to answer it and find common repeating themes. But I know that I can't avoid biases altogether. I just know that I'm going to have to be aware of them and test them.
I love review mining. It's so much fun.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, just getting people's, especially the people who are really crude and kind of have
Yep.
this is. So Scott Gingrich asks CRO for local service businesses, especially in lead generation.
Yeah.
Is there a specific way to approach CRO in local promotion, local business promotion?
You know, I think that it's a great question because it really also depends on like the traffic sources and the channels that are directing traffic to you. Because what you want to focus on is there's the tactical stuff and there's like the strategic part. The strategic part of it is making sure that that everyone is very well aware that you're local and that you are part of that community and that's where the emotion comes in. The tactical part of it is just making sure that you're driving the right traffic to the website, because I feel like when you're doing local marketing, that's usually the issue. It's driving the right people to the website. And that's why I think that most importantly, you need to think about the messaging so that when people come to the website, they know exactly where they've arrived to and they know that they're in the right place. So you can use tactics like, you know, welcome Melbourne or good morning and stuff like that, but it doesn't have to be that tactical. It can also just be in the emotional message of showing specific testimonials from certain areas and from people in the same town or in the local space and so on.
Yeah, plus if we're talking about a country-wise and not just local, maybe also include some of the cultural references. If there's you need to get to know. I think that this whole talk we're talking about kind of diving deep into the customer and what is the culture of their client, what is their,
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. So Talia, how can people reach you and follow your content?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter, and most importantly, you can find us on getuplift.co, which is where we have tons of resources and workshops and webinars and all that good stuff to help you increase conversions.
Is there any upcoming event? I know you used to do event before all the COVID.
Ooh, yeah, no offline conferences for now. I'm doing a lot of webinars, but we do have quite a lot of new content and guides and workshops coming out. So that will be coming soon for sure.
Cool, Talia. Thank you very much. So everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this very actionable webinar, and it was a pleasure for me. I know I'm getting back to with a few notes to our copywriters. Be sure to subscribe to this webinar series. Yeah, Talia, I hope we can have you again sometime in the future.
I'd love that. That sounds amazing.
Cool. So thanks a lot, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.